A couple more views on the cultural and relationship building issue. Stefan, do you want to?
Well, just one very simple comment to Subhash. I totally agree with you. At the same time, if you want to sell me something, typically you have to stretch a little bit more than I do. So if Indians want to sell something into Europe, it is true that the Europeans should watch what the offer is, and if it's a good offer, they should take it, and they should even go for it actively. But typically, those that want to sell something to someone else have to make an extra effort to make themselves known and respected. And I can tell you, there is a number of contracts. For example, there was a contract in the UK with the NSI, a BPO contract that SBS Siemens took. And finally, both parties say that this was a very successful endeavor. But the stretch that Siemens had to make, the investment that Siemens made to finally make this work, I don't know if an Indian company would have had the nerve to do that, because without going into detail, it was just massively expensive to SBS to do this. And I know a very large Indian company that had a transactional outsource contract, a large one actually, with one of the largest automotive companies in the world, out of Germany, and one of the most profitable sports car manufacturer in the world, coming out of Germany as well. And those didn't work with an Indian company, large Indian company. And believe me, if something like that happens, that is being discussed in the industry. And if the automotive industry, which in Germany is a large industry and is actually the largest contributor to the IT sector, or the largest investor in the IT sector, if something like that happens, you have pretty much of a barrier. Okay. So it's a lot of things that play into that, but I do believe that, coming back to my first point, you just have to make the effort as a vendor first and foremost, and the best way to do that is if you do that with a local face that is known to the community, and if you then invest into that face.
Bernard, how would you advise Indian companies looking for a toehold in continental Europe?
Stay away.
No, I wouldn't say that. I think it seems to me that the big challenge for Indian companies, but also for other companies from other countries, is to really build up an international organization. And you cannot claim you are international because you work in many countries. It goes beyond that. You need to have people in your company who speak languages, who have lived in many countries, who are really truly international. You are international through your people, not because of the number of locations you have in the world. So I think it's a lesson that we all have to learn. Just to give you an example, in 2000, when I bought the IT business of Philips, I moved the headquarters of the company to Amsterdam, which, believe me, and I've lived in my life many years outside France, but for a Frenchman to live in Amsterdam where you have to drink milk every day instead of wine is quite a challenge. And we did that because it was important to demonstrate to the rest of the group that we were becoming more international. So for me, that's probably one of the challenges, because it's very easy to buy companies, very easy, particularly nowadays because the financing is easy to find. But the most difficult comes after the acquisition, to integrate acquisition properly. So now I'm just wondering, when Indian companies buy businesses in Europe, what is the role of the European people they integrate? Do they play an important role in the company as such? Maybe not. And, we could say the same thing as far as we are concerned. When we buy companies in territories which are far away from the center. So for me, that's a real challenge. And it's what I would advise to Indian companies to become more international, truly international.
Okay, more questions and comments from the House? Yes. Yeah, sure, go ahead. Ma'am, can you bring it here? First row.
Hi, I want to ask Sudeep one question. It's relevant in terms of what Bernard also said right now. What has been the experience with the local employees in the companies you acquired in Europe? Because I've seen one acquisition in Netherlands of one of the large Indian outsourcing companies, and all the local employees left after some time, and it was not, in terms of retaining people, giving them important positions, it was not just happening.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.